Hi, this is William Stewart, co-founder of Teleos. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse study on the book of Philemon. Glad you're here. We come to the heart of the book today where Paul, in writing Philemon, comes to the point of Onesimus, the runaway slave from Philemon, as he returns, and Paul wants him to receive him graciously. We don't know why Onesimus is returning. It's probably because he's become a Christian, and legally it's the right thing to do. But the stakes are high because at this time in the Roman Empire, a slave owner could do anything they wanted to do to a slave, including kill them. So he's taking a big risk, and Paul is trying to help him in terms of preventing any harm to him by writing his brother Philemon. He starts by framing the conversation very wisely. A lesson for us as we approach a difficult conversation where there might be anger, to frame the how a person thinks of the other person in the conversation in a positive way. Otherwise, the respect that they have for them and the care as they approach a difficult conversation. Let's go to the text. I'll paraphrase a good bit because it's a long text today. So Paul says in verse 8, he doesn't want to enjoin Philemon, otherwise command him, but beseech him, plead with him in terms of Onesimus. And he tells him that Onesimus had become a Christian under his care, and Onesimus had come to help him in his bonds as he's under house arrest in Rome. So he was urging them in verse 12 to receive him such as himself. And he would prefer to retain him, but he let him go. And in the hopes of verse 14, that Philemon would receive him willingly. In 15, he asks him, or he thinks Philemon should consider the fact that he departed for a season, but was coming back as better slave. To think of it in that way, and he would have him a better slave long term. But to him, in verse 16, he become a beloved brother, meaning a lot to him. So I become a partner and to him, and ask Philemon to receive him, Onesimus, as he would receive himself. And he then says in verse 18, if he's done anything wrong, if he owes you anything, I'll repay it. So in 20, he says, do this out of joy and refresh my bowels, otherwise refresh my insides, basically. Having confidence in basically his obedience, as he wrote to him, he will do even more than what he says. And then in 22, he expresses the commitment that he wants to come and see him again. Okay, wow. Paul really pulls out a lot of devices here to help Onesimus. He sort of reminds him that he's the boss, but he is asking that he converted Philemon, and thus he sort of owes him. And he converted Onesimus, and Onesimus had helped him in his chains, and Paul's in the chains for really the whole Christian world. And so he should consider that. And Onesimus is coming back even better than a slave person due to Paul's work with him as his mentor, and certainly God's as well. Then he says if there's been any financial loss, he'll repay it himself. And his receiving Onesimus graciously would be an refreshment to him. So a lot of arguments here. So we don't know what has happened. and we when he returned. But we do learn a lot here about Paul and his effort to help Onesimus. It's certainly a good lesson for us as we assist other people in building unity, assisting people on their way, as it says in 3 John. We help our fellow believers on their way, and also in building unity within the church itself. We trust God's providence that Philemon did the right thing in terms of Onesimus. We learn here also the wisdom of how Paul approached his arguments in terms of expressing commitment to God and working with Onesimus to convert him, and Philemon himself, the commitment to Onesimus, and Onesimus' commitment to him, and what Onesimus has done for Paul, and that should be taken in regard by Philemon. And Paul is willing to pay Onesimus' way. He's really overturning every aspect or argument that might make Philemon angry, and he's doing this ahead of time in a very thoughtful way. So a good lesson for us in how we help people on their way and the types of discussions in which we could enter. Okay, thank you for joining me today. We will finish this letter next time. I hope you'll join me then.